to McBeath Financial Focus Videocast. My name is Krista McBeath, and I'm president of McBeath Financial Group today. I'm very honored to be sitting here with Chad Sparks. Chad is Public Relations Director for Calvert Metzler Memorial Home, and today we are here to talk about the benefits, the importance, and the advantages to funeral pre-planning.
We talk a lot about this. This is something that comes up a lot, but it's my honor to be here because I get to talk to you about that, and then I hopefully am going to get to ask you some questions about financial planning.
Oh, well, we can certainly do that. So, as a financial planner, I'm very interested in this conversation we're going to have today so we can learn more about how pre-planning fits into a comprehensive financial plan.
Perfect.
Okay. Before we get into all of that, though, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last couple of years, but tell us a little bit more about you, what you do, what your passions are, and how we met.
Okay, let's start there.
Okay.
I think that's fun. So obviously, we met through an event that has become pretty big in the community called the McLean County Senior Expo.
Right.
And your expertise in the financial field just made sense for all of us to have you come aboard as a presenting sponsor, of which we are grateful. And so we thank you for that. And that relationship, as I think you know, and I think most people know, has really grown. So this is an honor for me to be here. Regarding myself, I've been the Public Relations Director for Calvert Metzler Memorial Home going on 10 years. And it's a great opportunity for me to be involved in the community and certainly to be part of what you guys do as
Right.
well. In addition, I pastor a church in Covell, Illinois. For those who are geographically challenged, and I am one of those people, that's a hard place to find. And I've been doing that for 22 years.
It is a hard place to find, but it's worth attending.
You are, see now, that's a plug, and I appreciate that plug. So well done. So and we appreciate that. So in addition, a little more about myself. I'm married, have two girls, 14 and 11, Jillian and Jada, that I am extremely proud of, and they attend Cornerstone Christian Academy. And beyond that, personal interest, I'm a sports fanatic. I gotta confess, I like my sports. And right now, we're riding the high of the Chicago Cubs,
Right.
of which I'm a fan. So I don't want to alienate any of your fans, but I bleed blue.
Well, back to your official duties. Let's talk about the McLean County Senior Expo.
Okay.
And what it is and what you do there.
Yeah, it happened 9 years ago, and it was interesting because Alex Calvert, who is the owner of Calvert Metzler Memorial Home, one of the best family men that I know, and one of the best community-oriented men that I know, came to me and said, hey, I want to do something for the community on a grand scale. And he said, I want to host an event that is great for everybody, businesses, organizations, and attendees. And so when he approached me about this, and he said, can we do it? And I looked at him, I said, I think we can do this.
Yeah.
The real question is, how are we going to do this? And so it really started out as this great community event that was really kind of smaller in nature, and it grew and it grew and it got bigger and bigger, and so we've really had to make a lot of moves just to really facilitate all the people that come.
I know you've had some relocation challenges, and you've moved, and we can talk about that. So Senior Expo this coming year in 2017 is going to be held where?
So you set this up perfectly. So the big news is we've had to leave Bone Student Center for those reasons. The big news or the big announcement is we're going to have it somewhere else. But here's what I can't do. So we're going to tease this out.
Okay.
I can't release the official venue yet.
Okay.
But I can tell you that we are fully planning on having the biggest McLean County Senior Expo that we have ever hosted. So with that said, we'll make the announcement. Here's my promise. See, you're a presenting sponsor, and because you're a presenting sponsor, you're going to be the first to know.
Okay.
So, and we'll just make that deal now, Krista. You're the first to know.
All right. So aside from on our social media sites, when the time does come to make that announcement, where are people going to find this information?
Yeah, and here's what I would recommend, because they need to go to their trusted financial source. So go to Krista, or we'll have it on our website too, on calvertmemorial.com, and we'll make that official. Again, I'm assuming it's going to be maybe just after the first of the year in 2017, but we're excited. There's some big news coming.
Okay. So is there anything else that you would like to add about Calvert Metzler? I know you told us a little bit about the gentleman behind the Metzler name, but anything else, and more importantly, why you're so proud to represent them?
Yeah, there's a lot I could say, but it's interesting because Alex Calvert and I met many years ago. He and I were neighbors, and I'd always known about the Calvert family of funeral homes, and that family word is a strong word, because they stand behind everything they do, and they base everything off of a family premise. And so he's such a great father, such a great husband, and it's a second generation family. So his father, Larry Calvert, started Calvert Funeral Homes in Clinton, and we've just expanded, and obviously Alex has been a major proponent of that. So for me to be part of that is kind of neat, because I get to see a family atmosphere that's really kind of just spread all over Central Illinois, and to be part of that is really special, because I believe in family. I'm a strong family proponent anyway, so it makes a lot of sense.
Well, we've talked about this a little bit, but I grew up in Lincoln. That's my hometown. There's, of course, a Calvert Memorial Home there.
There is.
But I had no idea how many there actually were. And I think you shared with me there's over 60.
Yeah. You know, I always lose count, and I probably should remember this, but I just lose count. So I would be remiss to give you a hard number, because I'm probably going to get it wrong. Let's do this. Let's say more than 2. How's that sound? We just named Lincoln, we just named Bloomington, so we're going to say more than 2. How's that sound?
Didn't we also name Clinton?
More than 3.
Okay.
Yes, there's more than, see, look at that's why we do this. There's more than 3. And if you go on our website, you'll see all of those funeral homes that we have amidst our family.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, other than the Senior Expo, what are your most important duties at Calvert Memorial?
There's a lot of them. For me, and it's interesting, because in a funeral home, there's just a lot of different things that go on. And quite frankly, we actually did something one time, and Krista, you'll find this interesting, because I think it applies to your business as well. We actually asked a funeral director that had been in for a long time. He was obviously a big community figure, and we went to him and we said, what do you have to do to prepare for a funeral? And so we met with it. This was a trusted resource. And so he laid out, I believe it was over 100 things that have to be done prior to a funeral. And we had no idea. So we said, you know what, if that's the case, we need to share this. Where I'm coming from is, as a public relations director, do I take part in those duties? Some of them, but I am more affiliated with the events surrounding the community. So how can we make the community feel comfortable about funeral arrangements and funeral pre-arrangements? How can we be part of that community, and how can we show them our appreciation for all that they continue to give us? And so it's a big task. It is a big community task, but I will tell you this, it's rewarding, because it allows me to meet people like you who are also, and Krista, you'd admit it, you're out there in the community. And it's funny, one day I was out, and I can't remember where I was at a major shopping center, and I looked down, and there's your picture, and you're on the cover of a magazine, and I'm thinking, that's Krista. I remember when I first met Krista. So it was kind of a star-studded moment.
Oh, I get that a lot.
Yeah, I understand.
So obviously what you just mentioned with one of your duties there, that's really the reason that we're here talking today. So we're going to focus on the 5 advantages of pre-planning a funeral.
Yes.
Okay? So, and I feel that this is really an area where our businesses intersect, because we're both about responsible planning, and how by doing a little bit of planning on the front end, it can help alleviate some problems, challenges, stresses in the future.
Correct.
Okay? So let's start with family members, and how does pre-planning or preparing now help the family?
Perfect question. Probably the best way to start, because and we host seminars, and we talk a lot about this, because we feel like that's our responsibility. You host seminars as well. The first thing that we always talk about is how to lessen the burden on the family members. Again, how we intersect in our careers, because a lot of times the people will come in and they'll come to a funeral home. There's already this uneasiness. I don't think anybody really wants to come to the funeral home. They don't feel comfortable doing it. And so for us, we know that when family members come in and they're grieving after they've lost a loved one, and they're forced to make big decisions, that can be very difficult. That's asking a lot of any person to do that. So our goal is to make sure that we collect as much information as possible about the loved one prior to his or her death. And what that means is, if we can get that information and we can capture it for 2 things, one would be an obituary, and then the other would be the death certificate. If we can capture the information for both of those things, when their family member, when their friend, when their loved one comes in, we can look them in the eye and say, listen, you're not going to have to go rifle through files and paper and things like that. We already have all the answers that we need. We'll just meet with that person, and we'll just confirm what their loved one has already told us. That takes a large burden away, and it lessens time.
Yeah, and I wish more people knew about that, because we're actually sitting here talking today, and I'm sharing something with you, but today's actually the 1-year anniversary of my father's passing. And so,
I'm sorry.
personally, thank you, but personally, I've been there. I've been through that experience, and we had to do all that. We were digging through files thinking somewhere that my dad had written down all these important details about his life and his certifications and everything that was important that you would want to share, and we never found that. But we did find documents so we could put it all together ourselves, but those are the nice things to know.
That's right. That's right. And we've had, Krista, you bring up a great point, and I'm sorry to hear that, and I know it's difficult. We've had people that have had to leave the funeral home in the midst of an arrangement to go find that information, and we feel bad about that, they feel bad about that, and so our goal is to make it as easy as possible on the family. That's our goal.
Okay, I think that's a great goal to have. So what if somebody has specific wishes for final arrangements? Is that also part of the pre-planning process?
That to us, this is kind of that fun part of it. I know it sounds strange, but it's really, this is where we get to know the individuals, and there's so many individual wishes that individuals have with regards to funerals. For example, there are people that will say, I want to be buried in this particular cemetery. I kind of like this casket a lot. That we have a lot of families that will say, I liked what Dad did. I liked his casket. I remember his vault. I remember the pastor and who conducted the service. Mm-hmm. Those things are important to them. And so for us, we want to make sure that all wishes are met, whether it pertains to the actual funeral service or the merchandise that they're choosing, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that their wishes are met because we know that that's something that's important to them. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a lot of unique wishes throughout the years, a lot of interesting things that individuals have requested.
That's great, and it probably helps the family know a little bit that they're doing something that their loved one wanted or had wished for.
Yeah, and really when we talk to individuals, and especially those who've experienced loss, and obviously we talk to a lot of people, they will mention something particular that their loved one had either indicated to them in passing,
right,
or had charted and logged, and something that was just non-negotiable that they wanted for their service. And for us, it's great to have that information because we see the relief that comes on these families, and their faces when we can tell them we can meet those needs.
And it could be something as simple as scripture or music or something of that nature. So, okay. So as a planner, one of the things that I do a lot is help my clients prepare for the unknown as best as you can. So how should pre-planning fit into this?
Yeah, I really, and Krista, that's the thing I've so enjoyed getting to know about you, is that you're concerned about your people's financial status. That's critical to you, and it is to us as well. And so we want to make sure, and when we're doing pre-planning, we want to make sure, and we always tell people, listen, it's your money. It's not ours, it's not anybody else's, it's yours. And so therefore, you're the one who should be in charge of it. I always tell this story. I think it applies, but when it comes to your major purchases, and we can talk about our major purchases, our homes, our cars, school, whatever it might be, weddings, we never ask anybody else to make those purchases for us. I mean, in fact, it would be strange if we did.
Right.
So when it comes to funerals, which it is a major purchase, and it's just a major decision, do we ask somebody else? Would it be a little strange to ask somebody else to make those decisions, those financial decisions for us? So we tell people, we don't do it, we wouldn't expect you to do it. And so therefore, when we meet with those individuals, we say, you know what, it's better for you to be in charge of your finances, your expenditures, your investments. And we like when people come in and they feel like, and they know that they're in control, that they're in charge of the whole process. And Krista, your business, I'm sure, is exactly the same way.
It is. And when we talk about maybe being in control, when we talk about the great importance of pre-planning, let's talk a little bit about how pre-arranging can help protect your assets.
Yeah, good one. And again, one that you probably run into a lot.
Right.
In fact, it just happened recently. But we have families now. We know a lot of people are going to be facing long-term care, and that's just it's a startling fact. It's grown every year, and so more and more people are going to have to face that decision. Part of that is to make sure when you go to a long-term care facility, they do a great job. We have so many great ones here in Bloomington, Normal, and surrounding communities. But when you go, they're going to do an asset check. They're going to want to know where your assets are at. And one of the great advantages to funeral pre-planning is that your funeral funds can be irrevocably assigned, which means that those funds are protected from any other person or any other entity getting them, which can give the families a lot of relief because they know that should that individual, loved one, have to go to a long-term care facility, those funds will never be touched.
And it can help protect those funds in the event that they get into a situation where they're spending down for Medicaid and then there's possibly nothing left, then they at least know their final expenses are covered.
Krista, you act like you've been down this road before.
I act like I've done this a few times, right?
Well, and it's something, in both of our sectors we run into.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people would admit, they'd say, we don't know anything about this. And so we find ourselves, and get ready, because we find ourselves, when we're talking about this from a funeral standpoint, saying, this is something you need to know. We talk about this from a financial standpoint of telling them, you need to talk to a financial expert about this.
It's very important to understand how it all works. So, with some of the advantages that we've talked about and planning ahead as opposed to letting things go until it's too late, if you will, okay? Pre-planning versus not pre-planning, and upon your death, having the estate kind of settle the costs, okay? Let's talk a little bit about the costs and the advantages to pre-planning.
Now, this is honestly, we always, when we do, this is actually interesting how it's following this course, because I love that. You're setting it up perfectly, because when we host a seminar, we always save the best for last. I always joke, I'm like, I feel like we should blow up pyrotechnics right now, because here we go. So this is the big announcement. So the big announcement is that when you pre-plan your funeral and you prepay your funeral, you lock the prices of that funeral in on the day that you do it. And I laugh at that because I think, man, that would have been great if we could have locked prices in, back when prices were low. I gotta tell this story. I like Fords.
Yeah.
Much to my parents' chagrin, they're Chevy people. They do not like that I like Fords. But I remember the Ford Explorer came out, and I remember thinking, that is one great vehicle. I want to own a Ford Explorer. When they came out, it was around $21,000 brand new. Now, Krista, I'm not a car guy. I don't pretend to be, but I like Explorers. And today, a Ford Explorer brand new, as I understand, is about $42,000. Now, I would love to have a brand new Ford Explorer at $21,000, but nobody's going to allow me to price lock that Explorer. Yeah. So the funeral home allows you to price lock the funeral for the cost of what it is today. I think that's a tremendous advantage. It gives us great joy in sharing that last.
Well, we know that costs are always going up. Back when I was doing a lot of financial seminars, one of the questions that I would always start off my seminar was with, how much did you pay for your last car? And how much did you pay for your first house? And almost always what they paid for their last car was a lot more than they had paid for their first home. So
that is interesting. That's interesting.
We know the prices are going up there,
absolutely.
So. Okay, so this has been very educational. I'm very excited to be able to share this video series on our website and on social media because I think it goes hand in hand with financial planning. So if somebody wanted more information on pre-planning, what should they do?
Yeah, it's a good question, and thanks for asking. So, because I think a lot of people do, and again, going back to the example of the funeral home, it's just, we tease people when we're talking to them because we say, it's not someplace that you're going to want to go into, and you're probably not going to spend a whole lot of time there. And so our goal is to make it as comfortable as possible. But as you know, with technology now you can actually access the funeral home or any other place via website. So I would recommend that people can go to our website, get comfortable with our family of funeral homes, really start to understand the whole family concept of what Calvert Metzler Memorial Home is like and what we offer. We're at calvertmemorial.com, and that's a good place to start. We have two advanced planning directors in Bloomington, right here in Bloomington, Illinois, named Sandy Walker and David Ogg. And two of, in my opinion, I just think they're two of the greatest experts in the field that I've ever met. And I defer to them because they really are great, and they have answers to those questions. And so in the same way that if someone comes in and says, where would I go? I would say, visit our website, stop into the funeral home if you're comfortable, meet with David Ogg or Sandy Walker, and they can walk you through it. In the same way, if someone comes up to me and says, I need financial advice, I'm going to look at them and say, I know a little, but I know someone who knows a lot. And so in the same way, I would point them towards you because I know that you are an expert in your field. And this I've come to know over the years of us getting to know each other.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, so if they've been to your website and they've got the information and they decide they're ready to take the next step, they need to call the memorial home and make an appointment to come in and speak to some of the two.
Yeah, and we actually have people that say, "Can you come to our home?" And we're happy to do that. I mean, we always say, "Your home, our home," and so we're all family, and so that is something that we can do. We can schedule an appointment either at our home or their home, and frankly, a lot of it's just fact finding and really just learning about the whole process.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's great. So we've covered a lot of information today. We are, of course, going to post this on our website, our social media outlets. You had talked about the financial planning aspect of it, and if people need to talk to a planner. So we have a lot of great content on our website, whether it's webinars for retirement planning basics. So you can certainly go to our website and gather that information. We have a lot of free reports available too. So.
And Chris, I need to ask you this because you may not know this, but we do a lot of referrals. I mean, we just do. I mean, I'm out in the community a lot, and quite frankly, we have partnerships with so many great entities in these communities. But especially when we get to work with you from a financial side, and so we are always and we do have a lot of people that will come up and say, "Hey, we're in this process of planning," and as you know, that's what we both do, and so. They'll ask us, they'll say, well, what do we do? Where do we go? And so my question is, okay, I'm giving out your information. I'm sharing your information in the community. And so if our people say, and there's going to be people who are going to be watching and saying, you know what, we love Calvert Funeral, we appreciate that, but we want financial advice. Sure. How do they reach you?
Again, I would pick up the phone and call us. So our number.
That's what I do. You know that.
Right. So we'll post our number on this video if we need to. But of course, we've got a website, which is McBeathFinancial.com. We're on Facebook. We're probably on other things too that I can't think of at the moment.
Yeah, we've seen you in a lot of places.
Yeah,
you're at the supermarket on a cover of a magazine.
Pick up the magazines. We have articles in Healthy Cells and Pastel just about every single month. We've been blessed with the cover twice. So we're pretty easy to find if you need us. So,
good. As we have learned, you're always easy to find and contact. So, and that's great.
I appreciate that. So, yeah, we've got a lot of great content out there. If people have questions on financial planning, what the process entails, more importantly, how it all fits together.
And I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. And this is seemingly the perfect marriage because in both cases, individuals are going to need help. So I guess we're the helpers.
We're the helpers.
And we're the partners.
And that's the whole focus behind this video cast that we're doing is bringing in professionals in the community where we all have our businesses that intersect and kind of that one little sweet spot for financial planning.
I think it's a great thing about Bloomington Normal too. It's we do live and work in great communities, and there's just a lot of partnership within those communities, and we're privy to that. We're excited about that, and so this was a great opportunity for us, and of course any way that we can help the McBeath Financial Group, we're going to do that.
Right.
So,
well, I appreciate that. And if you happen to attend Senior Expo next year, which you will, make sure you stop by and tell one of us that you saw this video series. And I'm sure that we will air this long before Senior Expo, but we'll probably re-air it getting a little closer. Good. And we'll put some updates on the bottom with the yet to be announced
the big announcements coming. That would be fun. Okay, so yeah, because everybody knows that you're going to be the first one to hear about this, right?
Right.
I'm excited.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And make sure that you check out our other video casts that are going to be on our website. We'll be announcing our future guests coming soon. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Krista.
Thanks, Chad.